So welcome back, Mariano.
Hello, how are you, Lucas?
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
uh, I'm happy to have you back here. This is the second interview with you. So we already did an interview earlier that I will link in the description of the video. But just for those who haven't watched it or who don't know you yet, can you give me a short summary, pretty much of what we discussed last time? So that's who you are and your tango trajectory.
hmm Yes, well, thank you again for inviting me. I am Mariano Laplume. I am originally from Buenos Aires, and I'm currently living in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. Uh, Also for a few years living in London, in UK. I'm a tango dancer and teacher, a Argentine folklore enthusiastic, dancer. I play the bombo. I used to be a professional musician for around 10 years, especially playing tango the last 8 years of my career. And then I switched to tango. I moved to Europe in 2012. Um, I also train Alexander technique teacher that I studied in London from 2013 to 2015. Some of the material that I use for my teachings. And yeah, I'm currently traveling, um, especially doing my seminars and teachings in different countries and cities, but especially in the Netherlands and the UK and Germany.
Okay, and that's what we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's a very interesting topic that I haven't talked about before in any of my interviews. So I'm always, really glad if I can find some kind of new angle to look at tango, and this is definitely going to be a new one today or a different one than usual. Just to repeat, so you were a musician, but
hmm
you played in a famous orchestra, right?
Yes, that's right.
So you played in Sexteto Milonguero.
Yeah, I played. I co-founded the group in 2006 and played for around 5 years. Um, and yeah, we played in Buenos Aires and Argentina widely. We also traveled to Europe many times, also different parts of South America. Um, yeah, that was as a musician the last part of my career. I think I left the group in a very good moment. They were very successful, and yeah, it was one of the most enriching, intense moments of my career and my life also.
But you wanted to do something else with your career, with your life, right?
Yeah, for different reasons. One included love, obviously. Um, I changed. I decided to stop playing professionally and started to dance. Also because I really like dancing, and it was a complete different kind of experience of life and tango. And I was already dancing socially as a milonguero for a few years by the time I left the group. And yeah, we started to work with who was my partner at that time, and then we got married and we moved together to the UK. We found a school, tango school, a milonga. We travel, teaching, so the usual uh, structure for local teachers in London. Um, yeah, and then we moved to the UK, to the Netherlands, to work in Rotterdam for different reasons. Yeah, to have a bit quieter life. Uh, we had we have a kid together. We are now separately, currently divorcing, but yeah, we are on good terms, and we have our daughter in Rotterdam living, and we are there. Um, And I also, in my time, as I said before, in London, I trained as an Alexander technique teacher, thing that I apply all the time in my exchange with students, even if they don't know it. I am giving them this material that I think is very useful, and not so widely spread. I think Alexander Technique is a fantastic tool for anything related to body awareness and movement.
So I wanted you to explain all these things one more time, because I just wanted to highlight for the people who are listening to this, watching this, how much experience you have. So I think it's quite incredible how many things you have done. Now, I think there are already a lot of really talented people in tango, not just about tango, but in other things in life. But yeah, you have really experienced a lot. So since 2006 at least, and yeah, I think that's a great foundation for the rest of this interview. So can you talk a bit about, because like I think the main topic of this interview is teaching. That's also why I invited you. And then when we talked about it in preparation, I really noticed that you are really doing something quite unique right now, and it's different than what I thought you were doing. So it's really interesting. Can you tell me a bit about what you call the classical setup of tango teaching versus what you are more moving into in the present and since the pandemic?
Yeah, well, my experience teaching started not with tango, but with violin. When I used to play violin and viola, I had a lot of students. I learned obviously a lot, and this was supported by my maestro, violin maestro. And then with time, I learned a frame of how to interact with people. And when I started to dance tango, not long after, I also started to teach, because it came quite naturally, of course, with the more limited tools that I have now. But this is something that I really wanted to share. And yeah, once we moved to Europe, that became my profession, my way of living, and also all my attention was around that. And I integrated a lot of structures that I had from classical music study, from the violin, in terms of how to what comes first, what comes next, what's the technical base in tango, what do you need to know first before you move to the next stage. All this gave me a very strong base. Also, all my work with my ex-partner Maral, that she has a very analytical mind. So I learn a lot from her, and we work together. And also I put my side from the music side, music perspective. So we integrate a lot of this material. And I also was studying Alexander Technique already for a few years before I moved to the UK and studied there. And I found a kind of unique mix of information between the music, between the core of tango analyzing, and Alexander Technique. And yeah, at the moment I'm focusing in having like a specialized approach that is more not working in terms of steps or musicality from the simple perspective, but going deep into the what is more untangible in dancing. That sometimes is a little bit more, you need to create a kind of a bond with the students that is full of trust. That's what I have with a lot of them, because once you start to go, I think it's very easy to sell in between brackets like a set of steps or one concept that is widely known by everybody, and you just repeat the structure. I mean, learning the basic technique, that is obviously essential, but that's tango is a very complex dance and requires, for in my view, solid technical knowledge before you start to reach the pleasure that can give to you. And also in terms of music, like anything in life, but I think once that's more or less in place, we can start to think in dancing. Really, this depends a little bit on the level where you want to reach, but my aim is trying to make to give to my students part of the experience I do have when I dance. It's very egoistic or very self-centered, but I think I enjoy it so much, and I say this is something that is available for everybody if you put enough attention. And I work especially with some students who are quite advanced. We talk a lot about psychological aspect of what is. I often ask this question: why do you dance? It's not about the social. It's not about the status that is very present for a lot, or even for the fun. It's important even not to get a response to me, but to for themselves to ask the question, okay, why I'm doing this? Is this a purpose, or is just a random thing that I'm doing? Why this is important for my life or not? Because I appreciate my energy a lot, and I always give a lot of input to my students, and I'm really involved into their process. And obviously I enjoy more those who really need tango as a source of expression, like I do. No, I have this feeling sometimes, life, you are stressed and there are many things around, and then you go, you dance, you have the perfect tanda, and you say, yes, this is why I do this.
Yes.
Because it connects everything, the positive, the negative, and it transforms it in a creative energy that it doesn't go sometimes beyond that. I can do it in a milonga, and that's it. It's completely satisfying. It's not necessary to put it in a show and do it for others, for other eyes. It's you do it in the milonga, and this happened to me very often with my dance partner. Current dance partner is Luciana Sacchetti. We are very good friends, and we get along very well when we dance together. And we have a lot of these moments of yes, that everything is perfect, and then we go back to our normal lives where everything is not perfect. And I think what I would like to encourage or trigger or inspire to students is to be able to first understand that thing that is that yes, to have a clear image, clear feeling of that sort of connected moment, and try to find a way to reach it at will. At will means you can repeat it. You know the ritual. That the ritual is not just the social structure, but is I can repeat the step. I'm solid in my technique. I'm solid in how I can connect, how I can adapt to a partner. I have the tools, and then there is something that is that magic that is untangible that might happen. But if you are not prepared, that won't happen. It might happen eventually, and we discuss this a lot with my students. That and I think why so many people are hooked into tango is because once in a while you feel that yes moment, but you go back to darkness because you don't know how to reach it consciously and willingly. And I think by studying we can do that, like in any discipline. No musician who can get over the technique can start to thinking, yes, this is how I connect. And or when you are playing strings, for example, and you can connect with other strings in a string quartet, and everything is perfect, and you know it. And you know it by heart, no, by the mind. And of course, once you start to understand how to reach, you can do it by the mind, and it's like you are, yeah, close to have some kind of enlightenment that I don't think I possess, but I can see it there far away. Um, um,
So just getting back to the original question. So you've been talking about something that's called the classical model of building and teaching life, like building a community, and now you're trying to move into something else. So can you maybe explain what that classical setup is and how you did that in the UK?
Yeah, well, classic setup for me is we were normal teacher, average teachers in Buenos Aires. We moved with my partner to the UK. We set up lessons. We had our following, private students, group students, workshops once in a while, having our own milonga with the practica, having kind of a structure of a school in London that it worked quite well, building up our own following. Obviously, the communities was or still is quite big, so we could reach to people who wanted to try our style or our way of teaching or even our personality. And we did that for almost 6 years. And for a little bit longer, but 6 years for sure, because we lived there 6 years. And it was very satisfying. We had a very successful milonga with a very unique imprint, very friendly, inclusive. Also, we had our structure of teaching, understanding different levels, trying to guide our students into becoming better dancers, and understanding the subtleties of the milonga codes, but not the codes, like the behavior. And we also put a lot of attention into that aspect of the social in our milonga, that we had obviously a lot of power in implementing our energy, or putting our energy into there, trying to be very empathic to every aspect of being in a milonga, not being a competitive place. That in general tends to be milonga, for obvious reason, a competitive place, but we wanted to have a very safe space for those who could not or didn't want to be pushed through this. I want to use a word that is not very conflictive, but yeah, this liberal hierarchical structure of the milonga that some people call community, when there is no real community. Everybody wants to be on top. Everybody wants community when they are in the field. We say when they are accepted there and on the top ranks, the community is over. And well, that's something we did for a few years, and I think this is I have a lot of friends who we met during the mid 2000s in Argentina, especially people from Europe, that they were living in Buenos Aires, and they went back to Europe or the US, some of them, and they set up their own schools, same kind of a structure, having your own building or not, 2 lessons a night, maybe 3 times a week, 4 times a week, a milonga, special material. And this is something that I have seen everywhere in Europe. It's very common. It's a common setup, and I think it's very fertile to do that. I highly respect people who do that because this is the grassroots of tango art there. Without that, there is no tango. And of course, in Buenos Aires, it's different because the meaning of tango is different. So that sensation, that sense of belonging to a group that is a school, is not necessarily that strong because it's part of our culture. You have so much offer and the variety, and people know how to self-organize much better. Tango is everywhere, and it's more like everything works like a network. And I think here is a little bit more like small hubs, because in general there's not so much connection between schools, because it has to be set up like a business, if you like it, no? And to make it work, and it makes sense, absolutely, because otherwise you cannot expect people to become professionals if they cannot live from that.
Yes.
Because if you want a good teacher, this person has to be teaching all the time to learn. If you work a 9 to 5 job and then go to teach a couple of nights a week, well, for obvious reason, there's a limitation of the knowledge that you will get and the knowledge that you can give. Of course, there's always exceptions, and some people will complain about my comment, but in general, it's like that. A full-time musician will be, in general, better than a part-time musician, because you put more hours of your life into that. And well, it's always uncertain, especially this school setup is in this moment after Corona. Yeah, I see that is like under a lot of strain. Already during Corona, personally, I saw that this was going to happen. We in the Netherlands were changing slightly our model. We were working for two different schools, one in Rotterdam and one in Amersfoort. So we were not the organizers of our lessons. The school was not our school, but we were like third parties. Of course, we really liked the people, and we were integrated part of the staff, but it was not 100% in our hands, the decisions, from the teaching, from the artistic, from the organization part. And that's something that we wanted to do, because of course all the administration that is connected to be your own boss is huge. A lot of people think that, you are a tango teacher, that's amazing, you are dancing all day. No, it's like 90% of the time you are doing admin, and then you have some chances to and that's fine, but it's good to know that that's part of the business, let's say.
Yes.
But after Corona, well, a couple of things changed in my life. I don't know if you want to go into that, but we separated with my partner, and all these two structures also fade apart. Both the school in London, we decided to let it go fully. I was already still going to London. I'm still going, but in a different setup. And then the schools in the Netherlands are shrinking, and it's not so easy to get students or new students. So people are slow in coming back after Corona. And yes, I decided to explore more my experience as a musician. And some people might know me from some workshops talks that I was giving online during Corona time, around 30 different topics. And yeah, I found that very satisfying for my needs, artistic and in terms of knowledge. And yeah, I had an amazing response from people from all over the world, but especially people in Europe. Now that things are open, I travel often, and once in a while I find someone in a Milonga and say, you know, I was in your talks and about whatever Calo, and for me it's like, it blows my mind, because it's yeah, it feels a big satisfaction, and yeah, that pushed me a little bit to keep going deep into that side of teaching, and I'm now switching a little bit from teaching more the theory of the music and how to listen the music, to how to make the bridge between hard technique and connection, and the music as a thing separately, and how to dance, and it's like quite a challenging process to me, because of course I can teach you how to do a bolero or anything, whatever step, and I can tell you which kind of marcato is this, from which time, which orchestra, what that it means, how it's being played, which kind of articulation is being used, but making that link in when to use certain quality of movement into certain quality of music or sound, and how to do it in a way that is satisfying for people who are not professional musicians nor professional dancers. That's a big challenge, because with musicians I can throw a lot of information, even if they are not very much into tango, and they can absorb more because the language, they are already there. No, they need this part of the cake that is tango. But someone who doesn't know music, well, explain what is important, why is important, what is the most in the line of a melody, when we should follow a melody and when we should follow the bass, and what's the criteria, understanding criteria of what is more important in the music, and how to apply the movement into that. Well, that's the challenge, I think, and that's where all teachers we I cannot say fail, but yes, at the same time, because that is so untangible, so not easy to structure, and at the same time it's less concrete than talking about one marcato or one step. So yeah, but at the same time it's very enriching to me, and it's a big challenge, and I like challenges. So I'm personally in the I was traveling for a long time with the sexteto and other groups before, and then I stopped traveling and set up my school, and now I have a feeling that I can integrate both experiences, uh, traveling and the music, and settling, and the dance, and try to be part of a network where I can share this knowledge that is not mine. It's there, it's tango. I'm just pointing to things that already exist to help people. So I'm connecting with different schools in Europe, people that they know me from my time from the sexteto, and now I come back as a like an initiatic trip as a dancer, integrating all this, and yeah, I'm looking forward to start, especially now after Corona. Hopefully, everything will be clear up for everybody.
So it's quite interesting that So when you started teaching in England, you found a certain stability that is quite normal for people teaching in Europe or wherever else in the world outside of Buenos Aires. But already before the lockdowns, you actually quit that stability because you wanted to move somewhere else. You wanted to move to the Netherlands, but that also meant giving up on the stability that you had. Like you had this school and it was like the classic model and it was all fine, but still you, like with the music, you decided to give something up, and then you're in instability again. And of course that's there are opportunities in this instability, but still you're sacrificing something that's comfortable.
Oh yeah,
Okay, you
absolutely.
talk a bit about that, about yeah, how you reach that conclusion that I don't want to follow this model anymore, so I'm going to move to the Netherlands, and then I have to see like I have to build up something again.
Yeah, well, this goes beyond the tango in a way. It has been how I am, I can say, but I think I learned a lot by setting up a school in London, and in many regards also tango, teaching how to create bonds with people, as a teacher, someone who is guiding, like having your chicks, no, like being a role model in just that specific setup. We did it, and then in the Netherlands, first it was a little bit more difficult, but also we had not the feeling of, okay, we have done it already. We did the whole process, the whole curve of having this structure, and for us was going to be a repetition of the same, and we were not so sure to do it like that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No, it's like, okay, we have done it. Yes, I had this experience, and of course, you need to pay the bills, and that's fair enough. And I think it's very respectable if you build a model and you keep that for 20 years or so, whatever. But for me, for us, but especially for me, it was like, okay, doing this again. There's no challenge. There is no new thing. I cannot learn so much. Of course, you can learn some different aspects. You are in the Netherlands. There's a culture is slightly different, but we are talking about Northern Europe. There's not a huge difference.
No.
To be fair, it's like there are certain cultural aspects. We dream to think Argentinians, we are very different from Uruguayans or Chileans, but for us we are, but we are very close. We are very similar, no? Well, and I think this is a very human thing. We are very similar, and Northern Europe functions in the same way. So for me, it was like, okay, repeat something that we already did, or retrain or refocus my knowledge and do something new. And what I discovered this while organizing these online talks, because of course I knew about music a lot, but learning another aspect of the music, all the social, all the cultural, because I was researching a lot about what was going on in Buenos Aires besides tango during the 30s, 40s, 50s. And I'm very much interested as a very aficionado in sociology or philosophy or art, obviously. And I say, okay, there's something interesting that I can explore, learn, grow, and at the same time put it on top of what I already knew, and learn more. So if I can define it as a professional, in a professional way, I'm trying to train myself to be a specialist. No, creating a school and keeping that in time requires certain kind of skills. But I think I know a little bit of that already.
Yes.
I can go further and I can create a better school or a bigger school with more students with different kind of setup. I
But the
can do that.
formula is still the same, right?
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
will be, yeah, as you said, be within the same area. So being a specialist is, for me, would be like I go to school, I teach something that is very unique to people. Because I research a lot and I have this information being tested over and over, and I work in collaboration with the school. Like we work a lot in Cuartito Azul in Rotterdam, and I teach. I am not part of the regular staff, but a couple of times a year, people know that, okay, this is going to be this kind of new information coming and integrated into the programs of other teachers, and not overlapping information, because I know also this is a hot topic, no? When you teach or you do things that are stepping on other people's territory. So I would like to create bonds that are clear in that sense. People feel safe. I'm not a threat, because this is something that also is important, and most people don't consider, no? But yeah, you have your work, you want to take care of your students and keep that for you. I mean, as an organizer or as a school owner, so if it's difficult to bring people who would do exactly the same thing that you do. I know
Yes.
very few who do that, unless you are, I know, Chicho. No, you bring Chicho because you know that you cannot give what Chicho gives, or whoever. I'm mentioning Chicho because it's someone I like, but other people might like someone else. So that's my aim now, is being this specialist. No, specialist. I'm a little bit far maybe to call myself that, but I had to frame myself. No, and if you, I'm very humble, because I think I know not much, but at the same time, tango people, everybody knows everything. And if you go humble, well, that's a problem. I'm talking about marketing, because people are like shout that everybody's like there, boom, YouTube channels, Facebook present, Instagram, fantastic dress when you go to Milonga, amazing pictures, and makes amazing web page. So everything, the setup of professionalism is there. It's a it has become highly competitive, tango.
Yes.
And nobody, it's not good for business to say, I'm exploring this. If I am a student, I will say, you know what, I will go to someone who says, no, I know this.
I know everything.
I put my money where someone is telling me the truth, I will go there. No,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
half joking, but it's true. No, I would do the same if I want to take, I don't know, if I don't know another dance, and say, okay, I want to go to the whoever is the best in town, or who is saying, yeah, this is the truth. But at the same time, I know there's no ultimate truth, especially in something like tango that is so organic and so chaotic sometimes, and it's funny, how we all behave sometimes, and say, yeah, this is the truth of tango. This is how it's in Buenos Aires, and you go to Buenos Aires, no, I don't know where is that. Yes, but it happened. There are many realities happening at the same time, no? Depending of which circuit of milonga you go, tango will be slightly different for your eyes, no? And that's super fine, because it's how people express themselves, no? Older people will express in one way, younger people in a different way, and the social, including, no, how I don't know, the cabeceo. I had a student who came back from Buenos Aires after being 3 months there, and she said, cabeceo, what are you talking about? They come to you, they ask you. They are socially very skilled. Argentinians sometimes not included in the group, but you understand, okay, what is all right and when is not all right to go to someone and approach. Yeah. And we had this forever in milongas. So when you are for long enough, I guess you learn subtleties. Sometimes some weird things happen and people are not aware. But I think in Europe, it has become this like an obsession. All the códigos, like this is almost that's if you don't behave like that, you are not the real tanguero. And I think this is missing a little bit the point. It's good to have certain frame to organize the space, but if this is more important than what we are doing here, that is socializing and dancing, well, that's a problem. Well, I went a little bit off topic now.
Yes, let me just get you back to I think what your point is. Like, you just found your own thing, your own style to teach that is not very common.
Mm-hmm.
And that sets you apart from a lot of people who kind of do the same, and that's okay. But as for you, it's like you want to find something you can maybe stand out and feel like you're not just repeating what you've already been doing in general, like teaching in general, like in London. So when you came to the Netherlands, to Rotterdam, so what did you so you pretty much worked for other schools? That's what you said. So in Rotterdam, there's a school, you worked for that school, and you found some places to teach. And I think the disadvantage was that you were not in control of everything you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually you found this new method that you want to go places and teach musicality in a way that you can do because you are actually this experienced musician and also an experienced dancer. So you combine a few things most tango teachers don't have, or maybe like I could even say like little very few of them have. So that's pretty much your new approach. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes. And to be fair, there are huge amount of great teachers in Europe that can teach the basics and more advanced, how to move, how to approach in that sense the technique of tango. But I want to go to the other aspect. That's it. It's not. It's just something that I see a space open, and it's very interesting, and I would like to explore more. And
So it's also challenging to you.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because you could be teaching the way you were teaching in London for the rest of your life. I mean, that's fine. I think that's what some people do. Maybe they tweak small things, but they're pretty much doing the same, have the same approach over decades, maybe even.
Yeah.
But you're just looking to challenge yourself in a more profound way that is suited to you. So you want to, you say that I have these specific skills, and now for me to grow, I want to take those skills and then develop something new.
Yeah. Well, yes, this is what's life about for me. Like, for me, I'm very personal. No, other people would be super fine to be 20 years doing the same instructor and repeating. That's my version of hell. I learn, I get over something, and then I move on, and I want to learn more. I want to reach to more levels of subtleties, and this also changed me. And I'm purposely putting myself in this situation or position where I am creating something that was not there before, not for me or not from other people. So I think that's like it's creating a new world. No, it's a new something that it didn't exist. I don't know. When before Alexander, there was no Alexander technique. There were some similar, but he put together he all the ingredients, cooked the stuff, and now there is something that it didn't exist before, and it has a frame, and it has some kind of way of being transmitted or repeated, and yeah, and that's that process of creation is as important to me as the content in itself. It's like thinking, okay, how to do this? How can I create? How can I see it? Before I used to be more blocked. I was thinking, well, this is not possible. And now I think, okay, maybe it's possible, but it's 3 steps ahead, and I need to build the steps in between, and see if that works. And that's what I have been doing the last couple of years. And yeah, the last 2 months I've been teaching in different cities all this material, and it was amazing because I like it so much. It's that feeling that you are not working, you're just flowing with the information, flowing with the interaction with people, and people after that they dance differently, and they come to you with like very nice and fresh eyes. They seem happy, they like the experience, and they get something interesting. So it's a win-win for everybody. And I think there is not yeah, it's not a question of competition with other teachers. It's just collaboration and yeah, growth.
Yeah, because I would say that teachers, where in the places where you go, they don't feel threatened by you because you are doing your own thing and you can
Mm-hmm.
enrich their students. I mean, not enrich literally, but like you can enrich them as dancers, by teaching musicality in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what you're doing. So if I understand
Yes,
correctly, you go to
yes,
places in Germany, for example, where you are now,
yeah,
and you teach musicality in Mariano Laplume style,
yeah,
and that's also what the people who employ you, or I'm not sure if they directly employ you, but they let you teach
yeah,
their
yeah.
students, because not your students, right? It's like other
No, no,
people's
no, not
students.
my students in that sense. No, no, no.
No, so you collaborate with these people
Yeah,
to offer something to students that are interested in, and
yeah.
that's your new model.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
That's what I am developing more and more. At the moment, I'm doing it mainly with people that I know personally. They know
Okay.
me from the time of the sexteto, or people who I work already with when I was with Maral, my ex-partner. So they know me, so they trust in my um, criteria. I give the new information, and these start to pop up more contacts, and I am talking with people that they know don't know me, and send a message. I don't know, a few weeks ago I was in Prague just for holidays, and then send a message, hey, Mariano from Sexteto. I used to live in London, and now I do this in the Netherlands. And the response is, yes, please do come DJ here. And then was a full milonga, and the guy came to me and say, this milonga in general is empty, or few people, and now because you are here from the sexteto, blah blah blah. So I think that's a very good hook, and I think it's a very good opportunity to give this that I like, and people have a reference that is bigger than myself, no? Also, because Sexteto is not mine.
Yeah.
It's something that was a collaborative enterprise, and uh, the musicians, my friends, Marisol, for example, she has a new quarteto, and they are playing, and they are traveling, and she's we all are like, we harness our careers in all that amazing work that we have done with the sexteto. So I think it's worth pushing through a little bit and try to give to people
Yeah, but it's like authentic, right? Like you can promote yourself on that basis.
Yeah,
Because actually they're like authentic results from the past, and you've progressed as well as a person since
exactly.
then.
Yeah,
So they can really trust you because they know, you know, this guy's for real.
yeah,
He's not an imposter, but he's really this person who understands tango quite well because he's experienced all of this. So
yeah. I understand a bit. I don't know if I quite well. It's very. I'm very tempted to say yes, but I understand what I need to understand to teach people to dance.
yes.
Uh,
Talking about these lessons, for example. So um, let's say one of these random lessons, you go somewhere like Germany right now.
yeah,
Can you tell me a bit about the structure of these lessons? Like I would like you to tell me or to tell us as listeners
yeah,
what are you doing differently, and how are you improving people's musicality, and that's what I would like to know in right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
That's
This depends a little bit on the format of the day or the 2 days or the weekend, because in general I can say I have three structures, like three formats. One is just teaching one lesson and DJing in a night. Sometimes going to a place teaching like a lesson that it includes a little bit of theory and a lot of dancing plus DJ. Second option is going to teach one theory, like a long 2 hours talk,
mm,
and then hard music with movement. I mean, applying this to the music. So it's an extended of the first, and then a full weekend, like teaching 4 lessons that might include 3 practical or 2 practical and 2 theoretical, plus DJ or a practica, something like that. This depends, of course, on the organizer and the reach of the event. But that gives me flexibility in terms of what and where I can teach. I can teach in a milonga as I'm going in general on my own to do this. Can teach in a milonga on a Wednesday night, and the lesson pre milonga changed it, extended a little bit to 2 hours, and that works. In terms of content,
mm,
I have a hardcore theory that is just sitting and listening and talking and examples, historical context, practical stuff, what was happening in Buenos Aires, the orchestras, the connection between the musician and orchestras, uh, to more technical, like what is a phrase or what is the beat or how we can measure it or how can we understand it, to more simple approach that is I get a couple of concepts, movement of the beat, for example. This is something I have been working lately quite a lot because it's very challenging for some people. So movement of the beat, how musicians create the beat, talking about the theory, first part of the lesson, how the musicians create the beat, which tools they have in tango, because there's no percussion, and then how they break this pattern, how they move it, for example, in Pugliese, give examples, listen, count, count with the mind, count with the body, move, then move with a partner, trying to give specific images about what are we trying to do, what happened, for example, linear movements or movements on the spot, and associating a little bit. I work a lot in binary ways. Binary means for me, uh, although tango as a musical expression has a huge palette, huge range. Sometimes for pedagogical reasons, I say, you do this, is this or this.
mm,
In between, I just let that go for so people start to experience the contrast.
yes.
Now, whatever they feel is a contrast. So what do you feel about staccato? This, okay. So you have to do something different and explore what you feel about legato, no, in articulation of a melody. Sit down with your thoughts and think, okay, what is this for me? What is this for me? How can I express something that is makes a difference, that I can put in my body, communicate to my partner, and being seen from outside? No, being seen from outside is secondary, but if you are a performer, let's say, that's very important, obviously.
Yes.
Otherwise, you are dancing all the same. And this is, I work a lot in terms of perception, that comes from my training in Alexander technique. Like sometimes we feel like we are doing something very extremely different, and then you see your video and say, oh, it's almost the same. So I really work hard into make people, if they have to go slow, they have to go slow far beyond their comfort, because going slow, for example, requires a high technique. Moving slow requires that. So work a little bit in technique if necessary, or how to approach to that. Yeah, it's a constant conversation. So I do this with different concepts. Movement of the beat, as I said, or phrasing or rhythmic bass, and then theory, a little bit of theory, like an introduction, then practical, a bit more theory, practical. Dun, dun, dun. And that's
What do you mean with practical? Are you gonna let
practical
them?
is movement.
Yeah, but are you gonna let them do it, or do you mean you show it yourself?
No, I can show, but I also give specific instructions. When this happens, you do this. Change this aspect of your dance. And I am the one who is conducting the dancer. So you keep, because in general, they stop the slow down to say something random. Right? You slow down for half a bar, and then you keep going to back to your normal pattern. So I overextend that period of slowing down, so people experience from outside how how I would express the music and how it's possible. I'm not saying that it's the best way how I do it. It's a different one, because we all have our patterns of how we express a melody.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to open the palette of how to do it in a different way. And sometimes you need, of course, you need trust. People have to understand, okay, what this guy is giving to me, it has certain value. And I
Maybe
try to,
yeah, maybe they should just try it. Like
yeah,
he
yeah.
probably knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and as I say, sometimes it's difficult to be absolutely concrete in something that is, you have to let go. And let go what? In which way? So people ask specific questions to some stuff that are not so easily. It's not that I give you an apple and that's it. It's like I give you a possibility. Yeah, how you interpret that is challenging for people, but yeah, that's part of the fun also. And I try to make the lessons fun, so people feel relaxed, and open to make mistakes or make things that very different than they used to do. And yeah, I'm also trying to search for studying a little bit of clown, because I think that there are a lot of very interesting tools into that I can integrate into my teaching. So in the psychological aspect of the dance, no, is how to break through, connect to people in a way that the information reach them
Yes.
and they are not blocked. No, block means, oh, I've been taught that you should be expressing ocho cortado is double time. And if you don't do it in double time, it's wrong. So whatever random stuff. No, I'm not accusing anybody. So you have to break through to say, okay, look, this is possible. That's true. Okay, let's take that true. But let's leave that true open and see, okay, what happens if you do it you count to 4 instead of counting to 1. How this will challenge you. And this is, scary sometimes. I know it's scary for me. So I can imagine how scary it is for someone who has no experience and don't know me. Who is this guy? Is trying to be fun, have fun with us. And all this is, I think, as important or even more important than the knowledge in itself, is how you create that bond and trust, that it has to be very fast, because they don't know me. I just go to a city, to a place, a milonga, and maybe it's the first time they see me. Now, this happened a couple of weeks ago in Sutemir. I was invited by a fantastic dancer, Mira, and I didn't know anybody in the lessons. So, well, you cannot take the attention as given, no? You have
No. Yeah.
you have to hook them.
But that's what you mean with the psychological aspects, that explaining something is one thing, but then you also need to be able to really reach them.
Yeah.
And sometimes with something that's confusing or something that's surprising or something that's funny, you can actually make something like it's like you switch something inside their brain, like it's
Yeah.
So that's how you. It probably helps also if you don't know people, because they trust you less than they would trust their own teacher. So even though you might actually, theoretically, you actually say literally the same thing as the other teacher would, maybe it reaches them less because they don't know you, they don't trust you. And a lot of people in general in psychology think a lot of people are very fond of people they already know, and sometimes it's hard for them to invite someone else to teach them something, or to tell them something, like but for example, if you're in this lesson, so you've been talking about the structure and what you teach, but let's say you have a certain audience. So how do you define for yourself, okay, this is their level, or this is the average level, and how can I what's the best approach here? I'd say you probably improvise based on what persons you have in the lesson, because so how do you what do you do to
well, I keep I have structures, of course. I want to do this first and then this. I mean, coming back to the previous information, movement of the beat. So what is the beat? I explain the structure of the lesson to people. So we are gonna be learning some theory, listening some examples, putting this into the body individually, and then putting this with a partner, and maybe make some interventions in that regard. So we do all this process, and in the meantime, when I'm doing this, I understand, okay, how much information these people can absorb. Can I go very deep into certain technical aspect? You have to be open to read this. It's not like, this is my information, you need to know. If you don't know this, if you don't learn this, it's your problem, and no, it's my problem. I had to be able to assess the situation constantly and reassess it. And I'm not saying I'm great. It's something that I'm in the working process. I also like to learn new stuff, because always give me hints of how to learn. So I put myself in the learner's side all the time to understand how to reach. But coming back to your question is, I have a lot of information there, but I also react to what is going on with the group, because I want them to learn. It's not I want them to know what is important. I am trying to inspire people, inspire in the real sense that, this that I have here is very important to me, and I try to show why this is important and how they can reach it. This is a simple way to express what they want. No, this is gold, and why this is gold, and how it feels, how you touch it physically, emotionally, how it sounds, how you can think about, and do you want it? I think a good teacher should be able to make people want to learn what is in offer, especially when you do something like tango that you are not forced, you are not in the school. In the school, you have to go there, you have to learn.
Yeah,
You like it, you don't like it, doesn't matter, you have to pass. But in tango, people supposed to be doing it for pleasure. So you have to, I think we need to be trained for pleasure also. If you want to enjoy fully the Ninth Symphony of Beethoven, well, if you don't know anything about music, you can get like a full wind in your face and it's like emotions. But if you learn the rules of the game, you might be more attracted to it. And I think this is the same in any realm of learning. No? If you, some people like rugby, to say something random. If I don't know anything about rugby, but if you know the rules, you understand how things work. I say you can have pleasure from it. Say, look how he's doing it or she's doing it, and you understand the interactions and the complexities. But if you don't know anything, you see just a bunch of guys fighting for a ball. I don't know. You might not like it anyway when you know the rules, but at least it is.
Yeah, there's these different levels, layers of consciousness.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you need to, as a musicality teacher, you need to adapt to the people who are present, and you need to make it interesting to them, on average, of course, because there might be some more advanced people, and you cannot really say, okay, those are the most advanced people, so I'll make sure they are not bored, but then it's too difficult for the rest.
Yeah.
Because that's also obviously a challenge, right?
Yeah.
What I would really like to know in the remaining time is, like if you're with one of these lessons, like what's the practical example of something that happened in a lesson, like something you taught? I'm not sure if you understand, but
Yeah, no, I'm not getting it.
okay. So can you, for example, if you have certain songs, so what do you highlight? What did you recently do in a lesson, for example?
Okay, yeah, I
Very
understand.
practical.
Yeah, for example, a few weeks ago, I was teaching how to differentiate orchestras. And as a tool, I was thinking, okay, I was working with La Mariposa. That's a beautiful tango. There are great versions, but three that I was using was La Mariposa by Pugliese, that is instrumental most known. La Mariposa by Troilo with Rivero, and then there's a very nice version of D'Arienzo. Three of them, very different, very rich. D'Arienzo is a little bit more D'Arienzo, but still quite interesting. And I was trying to point, okay, what is important? I imagine you are Pugliese, you are creating this piece of music. Where is he pointing? Where should our attention go when we dance? Is in the rhythmic aspect? Is in the melody? Or is in both at the same time? Or is changing? No, asking this question to analyze a little bit the same with Darien. So what's the most important in this orchestra? That is prominent, that is present all the time, that is underlying everything that is happening, trying to understand the criteria, no? Create the criteria first. Okay, what is important in this music? Okay, oh, look, the violins are doing this, or I don't understand the movement of the beat, why he's doing this. Okay, why this is happening? Is using the beat, I'm talking about Pugliese, for example, as a source of expression. He's not X square. So he's saying something. This is not random. It's not happening because they were not good and they were out of beat. No, he's doing it on purpose. So this aspect of the music is very important for Pugliese. So we should pay special attention to that, because he is saying, look how can I move the beat of the so much. I can be so cheeky and playful, and still is tango and is good for dancing. How we can integrate this into our knowledge not only in the mind but in the body, the body accepting something that is are so uncertain.
Right.
And then you have,
Sorry for interrupting you. For example, I think the simplest song here is the D'Arienzo version, right?
yeah, exactly.
So you have explained the differences, and now what do you do to make people? So you're in the dancing part. You're gonna practice together. People are gonna walk or something. So what do you make them do in, for example, the D'Arienzo version of the song? What do you want them to practically do to be able, that's you're
Yes,
not telling them maybe, but your intention is to improve their musicality. So what are you gonna let them do?
Yeah, what I was doing in that lesson specifically is trying to get the articulation, how to release the weight to the floor, depending of the rhythmic base that they were using. So I start with D'Arienzo. In general, what I do is I start with the orchestras that are more simple, more traditionalist, if you want to call it, that the beat is regular, everything is easier, so there's not so much information, and we use this as a reference. No, okay, D'Arienzo is doing it not because it's more important or less, it's just this is easy to understand, from easier to understand to more complex. So I give, okay, where in the space, how much weight can you give to your feet when you are moving this? And we put with very heavy steps or more lighter steps. So what you feel, lighter or heavier? And then lighter. I am just randomly talking, no? Lighter. Okay, good. So let's dance very light steps for 20 seconds. Good. I stop the music. How do you feel? I give a feedback, and then I say, good. Now you dance purposely heavy steps in the D'Arienzo, and let's see how it feels. We do it, and it's amazing to see how people are like really struggling. And also I give example, no? Because D'Arienzo is not asking that. The physical stimulus is in here. No, not dense, not full relaxation, because it keeps you there, no?
Yeah.
It doesn't give you this. So, okay, we have something there, no? What's going on? Why this is happening? Because it's in relation to the articulation of the marcato. No, it's lighter, faster, not so dense and deep. And then we go to Pugliese, we do the same. Okay, let's release as much as we can. More vertical, I call it, no? Vertical, boom. Okay, how it feels? Good. Now let's do the same song, like D'Arienzo, lighter. So people are following the beat, it's the same, but the articulation is like D'Arienzo. They're using the wrong articulation. To understand the contrast, like, oh, that feels very weird. First, sometimes I show it and say, look, I will follow the beat, and you will see how I am not following the music. No, I am being like D'Arienzo on top of the beat that Pugliese is giving me. And it looks very odd. So there is a criteria. We can dance. There is a lot of freedom in tango, but we cannot do whatever. Because the physical stimulus of the music is very specific. It's very easy. Or I sit down and say, okay, to identify between marcato in 2 and marcato in 4. Marcato in 2 is when you have only two peaks, the first and the third, clearly stated, and marcato in 4 is the 4 beats of the bar, more or less equally accentuated. No, you sit down, you hear taran so where is the feet going? Is in this, or what the body is saying? I'm trying to explore what the body is saying before we even think about. because most people already have some experience and they're familiar with the songs. And okay, if I count, what happens if you count in 4? Oh, that feels all right, correct. What happens if you count in 2? It feels that there's something missing. You are following the beat, everybody's doing it right, but the articulation is wrong. So we work in that, playing with that, so they can separate even more the difference between the what is right and wrong, what is more correct or not. And then I explained that sometimes you purposely can break this perception rule. Yeah, I've seen dancers. I recall some dancers that like 10 years ago, Cecilia Sarkhan, for example, no, more than 10 years, 15 years ago, dancing in La Viruta, D'Arienzo, it was super fast and they were super slow, and they were falling in very specific place, very, was completely consciously done. And at that time I was socially dancing, but I was more a musician. And for me, it blew my mind, because like they are listening something that is like an underlying layer of the music that is not first time manifested. And for me, it was like, I was listening something new in the music that I knew by heart. I heard this song 1,000 times, and now they are pointing to something that is there, and they are doing it with taste. This is important, no? Because you can do that, but if there is no, the narrative is wrong, if it's odd.
Yeah.
And it can be done, but there's a different kind of aesthetic attitude. I think in tango things are a little bit more simple, or could be, as a social dance. So I try to play with all these, and of course I do the same with different aspects of the music. No, what happened with the solo? If a solo is more an intimate solo or more open in public solo. No, I give images that makes people be more into here, more open. And yeah, that's fun, a lot of fun, because it makes me think, okay, what do I do when I am dancing? No, I know that intuitively a lot of things happen, but now I am making these things that I've been dancing, I've been doing these patterns intuitively because of the knowledge as a musician. Okay, make it conscious, put it on the table and say, okay, I'm doing this. How can I communicate this to other people?
Yes.
And I think this is, I'm in that process. Yeah, and I think that's when you start to know, and I'm entering. No, when you start to know is when you are aware of what you do.
Yes, I think it's very interesting that you kind of create a contrast for people. Let's say people are not very experienced, and it's very educational for them to hear you explain why you would dance a certain way to Darienzo that is natural. So you could dance to it like very unnaturally, but then it's kind of weird. So then they understand the difference. And I think people also start to understand why dancing to Carlo is not the same as dancing to Darienzo. And then you start to realize that, for example, in tango, if let's say I've seen this recently. 5 figures, but then if you have 20 orchestras that are regularly played and they all have their own musical style, and you would play all these you would do these 5 figures differently on each orchestra, then you have already much more vocabulary. And then you consider that these orchestras all have songs that are all unique. They're all and you have so many possibilities just based on musicality. And I think people really start to understand how rich the musicality is of dancing tango when they can separate this in their mind. Like D'Arienzo is not the same as Biaggi, even though they're similar, but that might be a bit more advanced. But let's say D'Arienzo is not the same as Pugliese. And for people like you and me, that's the most logical thing ever. But that's the same with this classical music piece you were talking about. That once you understand more of it, you
Yeah,
see its complexity, and that's the
yeah,
same with these orchestras that are different. So you give them a way to dance to it naturally, and then they understand the differences better, and they probably become better dancers. So maybe as a last question, have you gotten some feedback from some of these people? That's like, yeah, now yeah, something like that. So some kind of moment of it's a very difficult word in English. I can't remember it. Let's see. No, I can't remember it, but it's when you have really a strong sense of discovering something.
yeah. Realization, maybe.
No, it's a very specific word. But I think you understand what I mean, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Uh, yes, yes. In different levels, in different ways, of course, because for many people it's a new experience, and they need time to process it. And let me rephrase it. I see the how these people attending to my workshops are changing by seeing them changing in the dance. I see the group, the general group, there's something different when I say, now let's pay attention to this aspect. And people pay attention to this aspect. And then they are dancing very simple. Even people who are very advanced in terms of knowledge of steps, because I can see I can feel the switch of attention into something very specific. And then sometimes after the lesson, they come to me, oh, that was great. And they don't know how to define it. Why? Because they touch something that you need time to process or to absorb. Uh, and I think that's also what they say always. To express the music, you don't go to a lesson and that's it. You have it. You need to open different aspects of what you do and explore movement more and more. And then eventually you can access to something at will, like a boleo. No, boom, you send an energy, you block that, turn, boleo. That's it. You can reach that point, no, by studying. And the music is the same. Understanding an articulation, putting it in your body, delivering to your partner, that's complete is something that it can be studied, and that's what I am where I'm pointing. Making that process conscious is something that takes time, and yeah, sometimes I haven't had enough rolling around to come back so often to see people saying, ah, you told me this and now I understand. So, but I hope this will happen.
So maybe then as a final question, because you're pretty much doing this in part because you want to challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the class you teach, do you feel like you're making progress yourself in a way, or that you're discovering new things, new conclusions after giving these lessons? Is your method slowly evolving? Something like that. It's a bit of a fake, but maybe. But
No. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, no. Yes, absolutely. And I have uh, I work with a feedback, real-time feedback all the time because I want to give something, and then I think, okay, is this right? What I want to give, is this what is useful for people? What do these people need? It's a basic question because that's we can go philosophically long way, but what do they people need from me? What can I give to them? And try to understand that sometimes being less ambitious, you can reach further than trying to see, oh, full passion of the spirit, blah, blah. No, okay, let's work staccato legato. and they will discover it if they discover it or not. In that sense, I have my own agenda in what I want for myself, but sometimes having agendas over other people block their possibilities, and this is like a conflict in me, no? It's like, okay, well, any human relationship, what do I want? Do I want this person to change or to adjust to what I want, or let's build a new us, no? And this is what I try to do. In that sense, I treat my students like equals. I know a little bit more about music and dance, and they know about whatever, and we are helping each other to be better, let's say. Me as a teacher, and then as a dancer, and also dancer, because I learn a lot about dancing. I don't know if this responds to your question, but
Yeah, so I think it's satisfying that it's constantly giving you feedback. I think that's
yeah.
pretty much you adapt to the level of the students, and that's fun because you know everyone's different, and you can kind of find satisfaction in that. So I think that's more or less what's so nice about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's maybe an advantage that you see all these different people and then you adapt to it and it challenges you. But is it in some way or another annoying that you're not seeing these people very often and that you cannot build up on something?
Yes, well, I can't say annoying, but yeah, my aim is to find, let's say, between 10 and 15 schools that I work regularly, twice a year. I go there, I come back to this. This will be, if I have like a frame of mind, my idea, no? To build in a bigger structure than a setup of my own school, is a network. I think that's quite interesting, and that's what they want, basically, to build the network. I also would like, obviously, to be in festivals or any these kind of big events, but I would like to do that as a performer more than as a teacher.
Okay.
And I have a little bit of these two different projects with the same activity, that is tango. I might be able to teach this when I am as a performer with my dance partner, but yeah, I think they are a little bit two different roads.
Yes. Yes.
They might join at some point. I don't know, but I'm not forcing it. It's just let it happen if that so.
But let's say you see the same people twice a year because
Yeah,
you visit their school twice a year. Yeah. Isn't it like you don't see them a lot? So it's hard to really build a curriculum with them. Uh, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm not the same as you, but I think I personally would enjoy seeing these people develop more towards something than just seeing them twice a year.
yeah,
Is that
yeah. No, I get your question, but at the
okay?
same time, I know the limitations of how much time people have to
Yeah,
invest.
of course. Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah,
how much
yeah,
time people have to invest, how much time uh, schools have to invest in me
yeah.
or anyone, no, whatever. So it would be great to be going every month to a place, but I see, in practical terms, I see this very unlikely to happen. I cannot see myself going to Paris to work every month in a school. Maybe if I organize it myself, well, that's possible. I can do it, yes. But how things work in tango, I'm not so sure. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean
Okay.
that it's not doable, it's not possible. I cannot see it. I don't see it happening now.
Okay.
I don't
Yes.
know anybody who does that. Very
Yes.
few people.
And even if you had your own school in Rotterdam, just randomly, but that's the place where you live. Um, even then it would probably be unrealistic to have like a weekly lesson of musicality with enough people who actually go there. And because I think people are maybe generally more motivated by wanting to learn fancy steps.
Yeah,
And then it's like already quite nice if you have people dedicated enough to want to study musicality.
yeah,
And I think that's also a part of your audience, like the people who are pretty hardcore and they want to learn more. And it's not
yeah.
realistic to see those people like every week because
No, exactly.
yeah,
It's
okay,
a question of time. Even for forget. It's like learning. Some people think, oh, I want to become a good dancer. So, okay, good. Take 3 lessons a week. Practice at least 1 hour a day, and go to as many milongas as you can, and do yoga and do Alexander technique. Yeah, I cannot do that. Well, yeah, I know we can't. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's
sure,
that's what you do if you want to become good at something. You learn, or you take slow cook, take it as it is, and that's super fine. Also, no, it's also part of a teacher to find the the way to refine. And I'm not saying I can't do that, but some people are so good. They look at you and say you are making this mistake, and unlocks a whole universe of stuff that you can suddenly start to do or start to be in control, because somebody is so good at seeing where is the problem. He has so much experience that it is like this knowing which switch is. No, it's a big, there's this joke, no, it's like, and they charge you a lot of money because it's one switch, and this unlocks a universe. But it was just one switch. Yeah, but knowing which switch is, that's what took me 20 years to learn. I mean, as a teacher, me or anyone, no? Anyone who
yeah,
is has this kind of knowledge. And I want that. That's very interesting.
yeah.
That's
Because then
that's
with twice 2 lessons a year, you can change a lot in people,
yeah,
even if they're not even realizing it.
yeah. No, but
Yeah, yeah,
I had this experience, and I think most local teachers can recall to this. So having my school, my students in London, and I keep repeating one concept 100 times, and check this, pay attention to this, whatever it is. And then suddenly one day they come back with a lesson, group lesson, or maybe private lesson with whoever, big name, doesn't matter, and say, this person, he said or she said this and that and that, and and I can see that they change, they can do the boleo or whatever, they can do it. But at the same time, for me, it's like, I have been saying this for years, but there is like this is what I was saying, the emotional and psychological preparation is super important. A lot of people who go to Buenos Aires, suddenly they are enlightened, not because the knowledge, or is, they feel open.
yeah,
You are not stressed. You go to the Mecca and whatever. I'm not saying that necessarily is the Mecca, but how people are approaching to something makes them so open that the information gets through, gets hooked. That's it. You resolve something, and yeah, I think that's almost magical. No, understanding how to reach in this way is very very rich, and it goes beyond teaching tango. It's like human interaction, no? And I like that. I like that very much. I don't consider myself just a dance teacher in that sense. It's like, well, we are trying to do something else.
so are you also teaching private lessons when you're traveling about musicality, or is it just group lessons?
In general, group lessons, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do
No,
you
private lessons, no. In general, I integrate many aspects of the music, but yeah, I think a lot of the information can be uh, given by group lessons in for musicality. Of course, you can learn a lot in private lessons. It's a perfect setup, but
not necessary.
yeah, it's not essential. Some aspects of the dance, obviously, privately you can learn much faster because all the information is being focused into your specific problem. But in musicality, I'm talking about qualities, no general stuff, at least in the first 2 or 3 steps of that teaching. So yeah, what is people mimic each other, they copy what is possible. You see somebody doing a marcato in pugliese and say, okay, that's possible. So I do it. We learn a lot by copying. In this aspect, I think copying is very, very good because it opens. If this I have this palette and I can push either way more because you see what is possible and it's there in front of you, and we are consciously working on that. No, it's not just because you can do that in the milonga also, but if you are not in your study mode, nothing changed.
Okay, well, I think we've discussed a lot of very interesting things today. I even went 50 minutes further than I usually do. I think we've covered a lot of very interesting things. We've also not covered a lot of very interesting things that were left. But yeah, I guess that's just how it is.
Yeah,
We had this interesting focus today on your new approach and your musicality. You're a person with a lot of depth, so I think there's a lot more to discuss. So who knows? I might see you again. But thanks today for everything you've told us, and yes, I wish you the best in this journey. I think it's
thank
very
you.
important for tango in general that we have people like you really trying out certain tactics that are kind of new, and some of these people like you might be the one of the very few who actually have the capacity to also teach that because you have all this whole background also being a musician. So yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, and it's like intuitive for you as well to be doing this. It's a smart move. So thanks for today, and
Thank
well, I
you.
hope to see you somewhere again on the dance floor.
Yes,
And till then.
absolutely. Thank you very much.